Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Well, did you know that as citizens, each of us is expected to have certain skills to enhance national development? Well, my next discussion is going to center around strategic skills for national development. Let's meet my guest, the Global Director for Africa House, Engineer Abayomi Onosonya. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good
Welcome and
morning.
a happy new month to you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Happy New
All right.
Month. Fantastic.
So, what is the role of strategic skills to national development?
Good morning, Abuja. Good morning, Nigeria. Thank you for having me. We need, in order for us to answer that question, we need to understand the role that knowledge plays in the development of any nation. In fact, I always say this, that the difference between a poor country and a very wealthy country, that gap is knowledge. Okay. And the more knowledge a nation has, the wealthier they become. What do I mean by this? All those big countries, all this advanced nation developed countries or developing countries look up to, they built those nations basically on the information and the skills that they have. And in the case of Nigeria and most African countries, we are where we are right now because we've not incorporated into our national fabric the idea of acquiring skills that are important. And what do I mean by this? There are certain skills that really matter. I'm not saying some knowledge don't matter. They do matter, but there are some in this day and age that every nation must have. And I'll give you an example so you understand what I'm trying to say. When you look at the Nigerian society of today, when you say skills acquisition, what comes to mind automatically is the fashion designing,
Hair
um,
making.
thank you, hair making, cosmetics. Some would even say auto mechanic skills. And when I listen to different pundits on television and radio, on television, I get angry in a sense because they've relegated the Nigerian society to all these. I call them peasant skills. I mean, don't get me wrong; they are not peasant skills, but I mean, this is my definition. What do I mean by this? We live in a day and age where we're talking about artificial intelligence. We were talking about, we were in an age where countries are making trillions and trillions of dollars doing trade. But in the case of Nigeria, we're still talking about auto mechanics. We're still talking about those very foundational skills. So this now brings about the need for strategic skills. And what do I mean? Let me just give an example what a strategic skill is. For example, now, when you talk about trade, I like to use trade as an example. Africa, we all know we are the raw materials source for most economies, including gold, food, and whatnot. And somehow, we that owns those raw materials were poor, but the nations that actually consumes those raw materials are richer than us. You begin to ask yourself, what is going on here? Let me use catfish as an example because it's something everyone can relate to. You see, when you want to do catfish business, you tell an average Nigerian, say, listen, catfish business, what does he think? Oh, I want to have a pond where I raise the fish from juvenile to maturity and I sell. And then you discover that the ultimate of his business is, I will smoke the fish, put it in a pack, take it to the market, somebody will buy. But you now discover that what that does basically is you're only circulating the cash within the economy, the finite money that is available. But the strategic skill in that area is the ability to get that fish into foreign markets in order to earn times 10, times 20, or whatever you normally would earn in order to grow your economy. That means injecting dollars and a lot of resources into economy to grow your schools, to build all those things that you need to build. And for Nigerians, again, on the catfish example, we do not understand the technicalities behind trading catfish. Many Nigerians don't even know that we can be making trillions by exporting catfish to the rest of the world. All we know is they just raise the catfish, roast it, smoke it, and sell it. But we need to know that for you to be able to export catfish, there are certain technical skills, like, for example, the fish pond where the fish is raised has to follow certain protocols and certain rules and regulations. And also, when you harvest the fish, there are certain rules of preparation that you must prepare it so that you can now sell that particular fish into the European market, and that will bring in dollar into your economy. But we've not been taught all of this in school, and this is where I don't blame us, because our educational system has been designed just to pass and then move on. We've not been taught how to actually earn money. Our skills are not strategic enough to be able to make us compete on a global scale. Many people do not know that for you to export catfish, you must get rid of the head. You must remove all the guts.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Many people think, why not? That's why you discover that sometimes you export catfish to the US, they reject it and send it back. So no, 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 we don't want it. Not because they don't like us, but because we fail to get that skill, that technical information that allows us to prepare the way the international markets want it. Remove the gut, remove the skin, fillet it, prepare it, have certain permits, and then the whole world is open to you. You get what I'm saying? So that's just an example, and this is across several industries. That's why it seems that Africa cannot make money, and this even in technology too. So strategic skills are very important. We need to sit down and understand things critically, understand every value chain in our economy, so that we can grow this nation and grow the continent as well. Then we start competing with the rest of the world.
This is interesting. Now, what would you say are the missing skills gap in Nigeria particularly?
Well, the number one missing gap that I feel is we do not know how to make money. Africans don't know how to make money. It is as simple as that. Because, like I used the example of catfish, while we say that, yes, we have a lot of young folks going into technology and all that, and you discover that instead of our children learning skills that matter, I'm using technology as an example now, they learn the wrong things. That's why you see they say cyber crime and all that. You see, it's the same cyber whatever that the same people, different people in the other parts of the world are doing, and they're making billions. I'll use all these payment platforms as an example. You look at Visa, MasterCard, and all these tech platforms. They generate hundreds of billions every year in revenue using the same computer, using the same internet, which we all have access to.
Yes.
But the truth is, our children, our youth don't know that there's a positive side of IT or technology that they can learn that actually can make them sit in Abuja here and dollars will be flowing into the Nigerian economy. You get my point? So strategic skills such as tech skills that really matter. I'll use Philippines as an example. Philippines and India, they have what they call BPO, business process outsource. What do they do? What they do is they use technology to leverage what they call centers, where big brands, big companies who will create customer support within their country. So they'll be supporting an American brand, but while the workers are actually located in Nigeria. This is one sector. This is the easiest one that we can actually do. All you need is a computer, good internet connection, and you can be earning billions of dollars for the economy. But our children, we've not been taught that actually you can do this. Or all those freelance skills, software development, real software development that matters. You ask an average Nigerian tech student, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to develop an app. What kind of app? I want to develop a taxi app. Taxi app already exists. Develop something for the future. AI applications. AI is the future of technology. Our schools need to start teaching the children that, listen, oh, this is where the world is going. We need to follow the world. And by the way, in the UK, you discover that I'm lucky to have done my master's in the UK. You discover that every university, they adjust their curricula almost every 2 years to follow the trend. They don't just say, okay, we've been doing it for the last 60 years, this is what we're going to keep teaching. No, they adjust so that they can become competitive. Look at agriculture, for example. Let me use agriculture too. I was going through one of the books. I saw one student, one of these government books, and I saw they were talking about agriculture, and they had to have a pictorial of agriculture. Guess the photo they put there? The photo of a farmer. A farmer is somebody who puts this traditional hoe on his shoulder, and then this is a farmer. So what are you doing to that child? You are damaging the child's sense of imagination. That's what you're doing without even knowing it. Because in his mind, farming means carrying hoes and cutlasses on my shoulder, cutting grasses. But in the West, when they talk about agriculture, the image that comes to the head is a young guy with machines, automated tractors and equipment that does the cultivation, harvesting, processing. So you get my point. So we need to start learning skills that actually matter. And I can go on and on and on. And before I rest my case a bit, I want to use another example so we can touch on different industries. I want to talk about economic development and diplomacy. Nigeria is blessed to have a network of foreign diplomatic missions around the world where they represent our interests, okay? But the truth is, most of these foreign service officers in the trade desk, they don't even know how to attract investment businesses into Nigeria because they've not been taught. Their own is you're in the foreign service, go to the embassy in Tokyo, go and sit there, and then if somebody calls, excuse me, I want to do business in Nigeria, no problem. Go to the website of NEPC and leave me alone.
Let's take a short break. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, I see that this is essentially an orientation matters in the first place. We'll be right back for more. This is still Good Morning Abuja, and we're discussing strategic skills for national development. Engineer Onusonya, what capacity development programs are available to bridge this gap?
Well, yes, the government is trying. Although they're trying, but we need to look at it from a public-private partnership perspective. The government needs to understand that the job of giving Nigerians the impacting the necessary skills, they can't do it alone. They need to partner with private sector. They need to learn. They need to train their workers and their people, the people in the Ministry of Education, to understand how things work around the world. What do I mean by this? Let me use the Skills Up Artisan program, the super program that the federal government is doing. We're under the IT Industrial Training Fund. That's a fantastic program because the vision behind it is every artisan or technical person in Nigeria should know his job very, very well. Whether you're a tailor, you're a plumber, you're a mechanic, which is fantastic. And this is valid because the cars that are coming into Nigeria now, they are all computerized. No more carburetors and all those old school things. So this is valid. But the truth is, beyond all of that, we need to inculcate into the system something skills that actually can, pivot Nigeria into a nation just maintaining itself to a nation that actually exports what we're producing. And super, like I said, super program is one of those things that Nigerians can leverage on. It will teach you a whole lot of things. Another one is capacity.ng that the government is doing, which basically teaches you, skills that you don't normally find in schools and in the curricula. For example, they'll teach you like TPO, trade promotion for foreign service officers. And I was giving that example before we went on the break. I said, as a foreign service officer who works at the trade desk of any Nigerian mission, your job is you need to understand how to woo investors into Nigeria, how to attract them to come and do business in Nigeria. I'll give you a practical example. Several years ago, I was at the Indian consulate in one country, which I will mention. And then I was there to do some things. And then the moment I sat with the trade officer, the guy from the first minute, the guy was just trying to woo me to put my investments in their country. And I was like, wow, this is what trade promotion is. So the guy was telling me, hey, bring all those businesses you have in this country, bring it to India. We'll give you this, we'll give you this. These are the platforms, these are the exhibitions, these are the platforms I've looked for. And I was almost convinced. You see, so what I'm trying to say is there are things government is doing, like the super program, like I said, the skills of artisan, the capacity.ng program that they are doing. They'll teach you some of these valuable skills. For example, they'll teach you how to actually export catfish from Nigeria. Up until now, Nigerians believe it is almost impossible to export catfish legally, commercially, anywhere in the world. And because that's the truth. Many people have tried it because many people will take 10 boxes of catfish, they will try their luck. Sometimes because customs don't check every time. But if you're unlucky, they check, they will seize the whole consignment and destroy it. But if we know that there are processes, there are steps, there are technical skills you must know to be able to export catfish, then Nigeria will start exporting legally and in containers. You see, and then we'll be creating another business entirely in catfish. Let's move on to cashew as well. The same thing with cashew. Well, up until now, what we know about cashew is we just harvest cashew in Gwagwalada in Kogi State, and then we wait for the buyers to come. But if we know that the shell of cashew actually is money, even more expensive than the cashew itself, because there's an acid in the shell that they use in coating boats and vessels, a very expensive chemical, you see. So if we know that even that shell, there's a way you process and extract those chemicals and start selling the acid in drums and we'll be making millions of dollars, that's fantastic. And we also know that we can now roast the cashew, we can grade the cashew. Cashew needs to be graded. Cashew has about 20 grades. We need to know all those things. Then we will now create entrepreneurs who will now be packaging cashew grade A, grade B, grade C for different markets, and they'll be bringing dollars into our economy. So these are some of the skills that Capacity.ng is a program by the government, also by the way, partnership with government, to allow people learn all those important, quiet skills that nobody has actually looked at, And when we say export, we automatically think certain countries. Oh, this country, this country. What about those countries that we've not even looked at? That's what billions and billions of dollars that they are actually waiting for the day Nigeria would actually make our business value chain more attractive. So all those two programs that I know is impressive that the government is actually doing, that people should actually apply for. And under the Skills Up program, government is targeting 20 million Nigerians, which is fantastic. And then the capacities for anyone, that capacity ranges for everybody. You can just walk into government, one of their government training centers, you sign up for it, they train you in all those very, very, very strategic and hidden, I call them hidden areas. The day we understand it, is the day Nigeria will become one of the wealthiest on this planet. I can guarantee you, you can mark my word that I said it because there's trillions and trillions to be made.
All right, it is no longer news that thriving world economies have gone tech. Okay, now
Exactly.
what is the role of technology in skills acquisition as we wrap up?
Well, technology is, you cannot do skills acquisition without technology. It's impossible. And again, let me just use an example to explain. Imagine now you want to train 50 million Nigerian youths. It's impossible to put them in a hall. It's impossible to do it in a year because the volumes are just too much. The number is just too much. So what do? You leverage on technology so that you can sit in Abakaliki and be learning what somebody in Abuja is learning. You can be in Kafanchan and you can be learning. So technology is one area that we need to incorporate into our learning right from primary school, by the way, so that the children are used to the idea, because the era of using chalk and pay and board is over. We need to upgrade. I mean, if we want to compete, we need to get rid of all that. You go to all these private schools, that's what they do now. The kids will go to the board and be clicking and clicking and clicking. So by the time he's age 15, 16, he understands that I can sit at home, I can learn a skill. So government needs to start investing or work with the private sector to start allowing people to learn skills on the internet. I can just wake up 12 midnight and just log into the government website and learn a skill that I can say tomorrow morning I'm going to start this business. So this is the way we would impact a whole lot of Nigerians very, very quickly in a short time, and then we can grow our economy.
Now, what is it? What are you doing at the Africa House? In the area of capacity building.
Well, in the area of capacity building, what we've done is that we've partnered with several government agencies. In fact, 2 years ago, we did a training where we took heads of all MDAs in Abuja and we trained them in some of these strategic areas I was talking about. We talked about export development, we talked about the cashew value chain, we talked about the palm oil and several sectors and whatnot. So we are doing that to partner with the government so that when we train them, then they now become the trainer who now trains people under them. So like a train the trainer program, and also our doors are open to any civil servant, any Nigerian who wants to learn a strategic skill. And of course, we will be able to, because we need to grow Nigeria. It's a collective effort. We can't let
Thank
the
you
government do it
so
alone.
much. I must thank you so much for coming to educate
Thank you
us
so
and
much.
the masses. Well, you heard it right there from the Global Director Africa House, Engineer Abayomi Onosonya. Learn a skill today, a strategic skill today, so that you can begin to contribute meaningfully to national development. We'll take another short break, and when we come back, there is more discussion on Good Morning Abuja. Welcome back, and it's so good to know that you're still tuned to us this morning. Well, my next guest is a woman that has dared it all to pursue her dreams and ambitions. Even though she qualified as a chartered accountant, she decided to delve into entrepreneurship. Let's meet and greet the founder CEO Bert's Shoes, Abosede Aino Ibitoye. Good morning to you.
Good morning,
Welcome
ma'am.
to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right now, even though you have all your qualifications, what made you delve into entrepreneurship?
Okay, first of all, I decided to go into shoe manufacturing because of my passion for quality shoes. Yeah. And this all started, I think, at the age of 17 in the university. Yeah. I love quality shoes, very durable and soft. So that was what actually like led to the whole training, skill acquisition on shoe production. So after my BSc in accounting from Bowen University, I decided to go into learning how to produce shoes, manufacture shoes in Nigeria, which I learned from Osmat cobblers. And then I learned how to
Here in the
source
country, or
here in
oh,
Nigeria
okay.
first. Yeah. Then I learned how to like source materials, how to get my tools. Yeah. So that was that was how it all started. And so far so good. I'm thankful.
Now, what are the basic tools one would
Yeah.
need for starters? Basic tools, and maybe also talk about the financial involvements for starters.
Okay, well, I think starting up a shoe manufacturing company, first thing you need is your filing machine, then your small little tools. It's actually, I feel like it's not capital intensive,
Oh,
rather, it's
really?
more of labor. If you're ready to sacrifice your time, I'm definitely sure you come out successful in it. And I think it's one of the businesses a youth should actually try to learn. Is a skill that it's capital intensive and definitely the profit margin is okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, what are the basic now as an entrepreneur, let's digress a little. As an entrepreneur today in Nigeria, what are the challenges you face and how you surmount them?
Okay, number one is still sourcing materials. The cost of materials keeps increasing. Second is labor. Labor in terms of majority do not even want to learn the skill. We want the quick way to get money right now. And I think the third would be the light issues, but definitely
Power supply.
power supply. The first one I said, which is the sourcing material, actually we've been able to handle that by getting a stable supplier. We have within Nigeria, you can source shoe production materials from Mushi markets, depends on
Your
your
location.
location. You can source from Kano, you can source from, depends on the kind of shoes you want to produce. But at least locally sourced materials, the best place to get it is Mushi Market, Lagos. Yeah, but when you want to expand, then you can start importation. Yeah. So then for the labor, so far so good. I realize that all they need is just a little, let me say, a little motivation. When you're able to do that, you actually have enough staff to work with you.
You mentioned power supply. How is that relevant and very important to your company?
Let me say 60% of what we do, we use lights because you can't file a shoe without lights. You can't even glue a shoe if you have a gummy machine without lights. You can't cut design without lights. So everything we do, 60 to 70%, we need lights, we need electricity.
Interesting. Now, as a manufacturer, how do you ensure to keep up, international best standards that are acceptable world over?
Okay. While learning how to make shoes, then the first thing I did was I bought some foreign shoes. I opened them up to check the material used in the production, the fiber, the lacing, the shape of the shoe, and everything I needed to know, the quality of the material, including the lining used. So with that, I was able to like build up my own designs. I create my own design with that information I've gotten, and I'm able to source the right materials for my shoes.
Okay, and what would be your advice to intending young entrepreneurs? And do you think Nigerian youths are zealous enough for entrepreneurship?
When we talk about entrepreneurship, it's a skill. Sometimes it's inborn. We have an entrepreneur, we have an intrapreneur. That's why you need to find yourself in when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Know yourself, understand yourself. That's the first thing you should do if you want to go into entrepreneurship. Some children are born with it. Like, take for instance, some people can just set up. We have some youths. I'm going back to that question. We have some youths who actually love the idea of owning a factory, but they do not love the idea of working, putting in the effort to sit and make shoes. So you see them, they are investors. So they are also entrepreneur. Then we have the entrepreneur, which they are like employee. They are basically good employee, good staff. They are good in the management. They are good with production. They are good with supervising. So find yourself. Know if this thing actually know what suits you. Either you're an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. For instance, I am an entrepreneur. I can do the investment, but at the same time, I was able to. You can actually learn the skill of selling deals, sales, because as an entrepreneur, you should be good with sales. So most of the youths right now, they are not ready to take their time, learn the skill if they are not born with it, or they are not even ready to take like 6 months, 1 year of their life to sit down to learn a skill. But for those that actually have the passion, you see them doing extremely well. They come out very creative, very smart, very industrious.
How long does it take to conclude an average training session?
I would say a year. You could learn for 6 months, but just like we have different cars coming up every day, different versions of vehicle, we have different designs of shoes coming up every day. So what's within a year, regardless of the shape of the shoe you're going to see in the next 10 years, you can actually learn it within 1 year. Because we still use the same shape, but in a different with different design. So in 10 years, I mean in a year, you should be able to understand better.
The
The
basics. And
basics.
then
Yeah.
there should be opportunity for learning and relearning,
Relearning, yeah, definitely.
upgrading your.
Upgrading.
Thank you so much for coming and educating us on the art of your skill, shoemaking, and being an entrepreneur and inspiring the next generation. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on the show.
Thank you for
Well,
having me.
that's the size of the discussion with the CEO Bells Shoes. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, there is more. All right, welcome back to the show. Well, my next topic of discussion is one I find very, very dear and near to my heart because it's, after all, a humanitarian one. We will take a look at empowering people living with disabilities and mental health issues. Discussing with me today on the program is the founder, CEO, ASA Enable Us Foundation, Prince Stephen Ayorinde Amuko. I hope I got that right.
Prince Ayonide Stephen Amoko.
Amuko, good
Ayonide come first.
morning. Good morning and welcome to the show.
You're welcome.
All
It's my
right,
pleasure.
now, can you give us insights into your empowerment program and how they've affected the lives of individuals living with disabilities and mental health?
Okay. First of all, my name is Prince Ayonide Stephen Amoko, as you said, and I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a psychiatric nurse from United Kingdom, and this inspired me when I look at the way the British government and other countries look after their disabled one, and that's gave me that plans, courage to start looking back home and see how I can help people at home. And now I've been doing this now for over 6 years. I've done a lot in Kano State, in Borno, in Benue, Kogi State, and Lagos State. And I'm planning to extend it to more states, inshallah. So yeah, I'm being inspired. There's a lot of testimony. There's a lot of good news coming from people that have helped in the past, and I'd love to do more.
How does the ASA Enable Us Foundation address the issue of stigma surrounding mental health issues and disabilities in Nigeria?
Oh, this is a big one. Trust me. When I came in the other day, I spoke to few people about how they manage to incorporate their lifestyle into the society. And a lot of them told me, you know what, they don't even want to see us talking. We are not involved. Whenever they come in and they know, they don't see them as part of the society. And that's one reason I want to advocate for. That these are people, I've met people that have got masters in English, in psychology, and they are disabled. So it's high time we start bringing them together. Yeah, we need to, inclusiveness needs to come. We need to see, don't let us just push them away. They have a lot to offer. They are blessed, they are talented. I have a lot of people doing a lot of things for me, and I can vouch for them. That please, we need to start bringing them to society and let them see them as part of us. And that is when we can. And I'm happy a lot is happening, and they are happy. So,
Interesting. What are the reforms that you'd like to see implemented, to ensure better access to rehabilitation and equal opportunities for people living with disabilities and mental health issues?
okay, I think that's where government comes in and all the other NGOs, because I realize a lot of NGOs just trying to kind of put it out there, but they're not really doing what they're meant to do. I met some people in Borno and they said, oh, they always come around, take picture with us, tell us they want to help us. They never come back to them. So if you really want to help these people, you don't just go to them, take pictures with them and go. I've been with them for 6 years. So if everybody can do that, like I'm paying for some of them school fees. When I went to Borno, they said they want kind of handwork. I bought them a machine.
Skills.
It's kids. I bought them a machine to make shoes, and they start making shoes. And I still follow up. I call them. How are you doing? What do you need? And they give me feedbacks. So if you really want to help them, don't just go to them and take pictures and go away and say you have done NGO or you've done charity. No, you have to continuity has to be there. So I want the reform from government to see into that. And I know President Tinubu Ahmed Tinubu is doing his best to bring them in and to do a lot for them, but it's more we can do
Some of them are
individually.
even cabinet members now.
Yes, I have my leader, Honorable Tolu Bankole, and he's really doing well. He's the leader of people with disability in Nigeria. And we are planning to even have a big program together. So we're going to work on it soon. But I just want individual NGOs that have been trying to do one or two things to continue doing it. And don't just doing it one off and go
And to be
away.
sincere with it.
Yes, and do that follow up. Very important. Follow up is very important.
Interesting. Now, let us talk about the your collaborative efforts. Let's elaborate on how you partner with other organizations, to improve what you do.
At the moment, I'm doing it alone, and I think I'm happy doing it alone till because there's something I want to really bring into Nigeria in terms of data. Because if you ask anyone,
Database.
yes, if they ask anybody now, how many disabled people, maybe short-sighted, maybe and
Def.
deaf, maybe hearing, they don't even know who is who. They just categorize everybody as disabled. No, because if 10,000 people need glasses in Borno State, we need to be able to identify. You understand? If 20,000 need wheelchairs, we need to identify that, okay, these are what we need. So I'm trying to have a data of how many people in each state with disability and what kind of disability they have. So from there, especially the mental aspect of it, I met with, like I said, I'm a psychotherapist. I met with few children in Lagos before coming to Abuja, and I spoke to them. I said, how do you treat when you're under pressure, when you are emotional detached, when you have kind of mood uh,
Swings.
imbalance or something like that? And they told me, some of them said they go and smoke
Oh.
marijuana. Some of them will try and look for drugs.
To create balance.
Exactly. And I said, okay, what happened after the marijuana, after the drug? You go back to the same worries. You go back to the same stress. So I said, you don't need to. So I'm trying to introduce what they call early intervention, where I can have a community center and speak to the children and people that are struggling with maybe psychosis or something that really worries them. Because a lot of people, I ask some, I say, have you ever felt like you trying to kill yourself or you're trying to kill someone, like suicidal ideation?
Tendencies.
Yeah, and they said yes. And I said, how do you solve it? It might even be only exercise. Maybe you need to just do something to relax your brain. Maybe you just need to keep yourself around people that makes you happy. It might be just the therapy you need. So I'm trying to have a talk therapy with them and trying to explain to them you don't need to smoke because a lot even some people that are not smoking are taking most of this medication, trying to take 10, 15 at a go.
Oh, dear.
It's not the best. And those are the things I want to do to bring early intervention and let them know what they do because there is a lot of good children. I was at the football ground the other day and I saw a brilliant kids. You understand? I don't want them to go that way. So essentially we start dealing with their worries now.
And let them know that there can be ability
Yes.
in every disability.
Yes.
That's very special. Now, what message would you like to convey to individuals with disabilities in mental health, and how can they access ASA Enablers Foundation's quality services?
Okay. Like I said, ASA there means Ayoni Stephen Amoko. So ASA Enablers Foundation, you can go on my Google and it's www.asaenablersfoundation.com.ng.
Okay.
So you can access and you can see a lot of testimony and people have helped and what they have done one way or the other to overcome a lot of mental illness. So you don't have to worry. We are coming. There's a big program coming up, like I said, and we are going to touch every state. And I just need people like me that have got their own NGO to try and do as much as they could to help people. So disabled people, don't worry, we have your back and we will do everything to get in touch with you. And like I said, go on my website, get in touch with me, and inshallah, I will do my best to get through to you.
Just before we go, I know I can see you're a very passionate person and you're a humanitarian at heart. What do you get your motivating drive from?
Hmm, that's a good one. Yeah, I remember before I left to United Kingdom, there's a lot of mental illness and worries that I saw in families. And the way it's been dealt with, it's like it's nothing to write home about, and nobody really cares about, But when I get to United Kingdom and I see the way they handle mental health patients, I see the way they handle disabled people, and I say, hang on, these are the same human beings, both in Nigeria and United Kingdom. So if they can look after, they don't joke with older people, they don't joke with children, they
Senior
don't joke,
citizens.
yeah, they don't joke with disabled people.
Disabled.
So I'm like, we can't do the same
Seems like
here.
it's the reverse.
Exactly. So it's high time that we need to bring that culture. We call it values. You understand? We need to bring the same value. We need to respect disabled people. We need to worry about people in need. We have to do our best to let them fit into the society. And that's my target.
That's your
And that's what
motivation.
motivated me.
Thank you so much. I
Yes.
have to thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
You're very passionate, and we do hope that you receive all the partnerships and helps that you will require for this awesome work that you're doing for humanity. We have been speaking with the founder, CEO, ASA Enablers Foundation on how to enable and empower people living with mental health issues and disabilities. There's more to come on the show, but that will be when we come back from this break. Stay with us.